Alright everyone, as we move through the material, we will eventually need to deploy our projects. And what do I mean by that? So far, we are running all of our projects locally. And the project is only available to you or anyone who wants to go through the trouble of going to your GitHub, cloning your repository, installing dependencies, and then launching your application. So the first problem that we'll need to tackle is the database, or more specifically, how to store the data in which our app and our project depends on, not on your local machine, but accessible to anyone who may need it. For this, we will use a database solution hosted by a third party. Instead of the database running locally on your machine, it will be running on a separate hosted platform. Now, there are of course many solutions for this. Some are more complicated, some are less so. Our solution for the moment will be Supabase, for a couple of reasons. Generally, ease of use, easy or so to set up, and the fact that they do have free plans. Here the free plan has unlimited API requests, up to 50,000 monthly active users, 500 megabytes of database space, 5 gigs of bandwidth, a gig of file storage, meaning that if you want to store anything more complicated than plain text data for one of your projects, this one's got you covered as well. Okay, so I'm not going to go over how to sign up for it. I trust everyone here to figure that part out. There are a few sign up options, from simply using your Gmail account, using a GitHub account, or basically using just any email and password to create a new account from scratch. Simple and straightforward, right? What we actually will go over here is how to start a new project and set up a new database for our project. So, by default, when we are signed up, this is the default home dashboard. Now, depending on what method you use to sign up, Supabase may already create a default organization for you. This may be blank, or you might already have an organization created. Organization here is a quote-unquote, basically it's a namespace from which your projects will live, where they will be created. So let's create a new organization so we can create our projects. And we will name it something very creative. I am very creative, so I will name it Fun Deployment. This will be personal, and this will be the free tier. The free tier just because we don't need anything else more than the free tier has. So we'll get it and let's create it now. This will take a second. It needs to set up a couple of things, and from there, once a organization is created, now we have to create our first project. So an organization encompasses all of our projects, and we have 2 free projects per organization. So this first project, let's name it Testing Supabase. Password. An important thing to notice here. This password here, this is your database password. Just like you have a database password on your local Postgres server, which runs on your computer. This will be the database password to use when you want to connect to your database, which is hosted by Supabase. This is not the login password. Your login password you create when you register for an account. This will be the password for this specific database within this specific project which we created. So there's some validation here. You can't create a very simple password. Their system will yell at you if it's not good enough. So if I want to create a password simply named password, it is not good enough. We can either generate it automatically, or any good combination of letters and numbers and maybe a special character will do. So that's it. Password is strong, or at least that's what it tells us. Next, we have a region, and by default, it will choose the closest one to you and the least busy one. You can switch it around, which one is closest to you. You can leave it at default. Really, it doesn't matter. It would matter if we are deploying anything professionally, because you want to keep the region closest to where your user base is, but in this case, the defaults just work fine. So for me, it's East Coast. It's already picked the East Coast for me. If you're on the West Coast, you can pick West or anything like that. So these are our basic options. Let's finalize that. Create a new project. Supabase is going to run lots and lots of things. Begin setting up all of our default settings. This will take a good minute. In fact, it will take more than a minute. Usually it takes a few minutes. Let's see where it takes us here. So here we have our free namespace, which within we have our testing Supabase project, and Supabase is telling us that it's currently setting up a project. It is spinning here, right? We can make it a little bigger. It got a little center. It's setting up a project. 5 minutes or so should be all good. In between, let's review a couple of concepts and how we're using PSQL so far, and how it will be a little bit different when we use it with Supabase. So see you there.